Okay, now with my new layer that I've created called New Alaska, I'm going to go ahead and apply a layer style. Now, applying a layer style only works on the selected layer, so that's another reason why I wanted to combine all my layers into a single layer. Because if I wanted to apply this layer style, it would only apply to the individual layers that were being selected, and I want it to apply to the entire image. So at the bottom of the layers panel, you'll see FX. Those are layer styles. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go ahead and select color overlay. When I select color overlay, I'll move this off to the side so we can see a little bit. It opens up my layer styles dialog box, and it already selected the color overlay option with the check mark, and you can see it's highlighted. If I click on any other option, it becomes selected, and then the options over here on the right hand side change to allow me to modify that selection. So by selecting the option I want first, it will automatically go to that selection, mark it that I want to use it, and give me the options that I can change on the right hand side of my dialog box. Okay, so we've got a color overlay. What's that doing? By default, it's adding this red over my image. And you'll notice that basically all I'm seeing right now is a big red square. What I can do is I can change my blend mode for the color overlay command. And what that's doing is the same thing that it did when we worked with color modes on the layers panel. I can click on the various blend modes to see how that color affects my image. And as you can see, it's allowing the combination of that color and the image behind it, which is on my layer, to work together to create a new effect. And what I want to select is color burn. So I'm going to open up my menu, and towards the top I'm going to select color burn. Now I don't want the red color, I'm going to actually pick a new color. So if I click on the color picker here, the red box, I can set a new color. And I want to get a light pink color. Now let me pull this off to the side. You can see it tells me I'm using the color picker with the overlay color. So that's my blend mode. Now I can click and drag my color picker around in this area, and I can see the changes that are going to happen with my picture as I change my selection. So I get a better idea of what it's doing to it while I have it open, rather than maybe picking my color first and then going in and changing it. So I'm going to move it a little bit down here on this spectrum and try another shade of pink. That actually looks kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that. Obviously your color is going to vary because of how you're picking them, but I'd like to choose a light pink color. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click OK again to close the layer style box. Now you'll notice on the New Alaska layer, it's got FX to the right, which tells me there's been a layer style applied to it. And right below the layer, I've got effects and color overlay with the visibility icons on. So I can turn off color overlay and turn it back on to see the changes that have been made because of that color overlay. Next to the FX, there's a little collapse arrow, so I can either expand or collapse to be able to see the effects that I've added to this layer. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. Now we used the opacity earlier to change the opacity of our fog. Right below that is a fill opacity. What that will do is that will change the transparency without affecting the layer effect. So that color overlay that we created won't change, but the fill of the contents, which is our image, will change if we choose fill rather than opacity. So let's take a look first at the opacity, which we did before. If I click and I drag, you'll notice that it's changing the transparency of the entire layer. And because I have my original layers below it still visible, it's letting my other layers bleed through the New Alaska. So essentially the New Alaska is a copy of all the other layers combined, so it's letting my original bleed through. So let me leave that at 100%. Now let's look and see what fill does. And because I have my layers on below the New Alaska, let me go ahead and turn those off. And when I adjust this, you can see if I go all the way down to 0, I see the pink that I chose earlier. And as I bring this up, my picture starts to come back. But again, the color overlay that I applied with my layer styles is not affected by this opacity change. It's only affecting the contents of the layer, not the effect that was applied to it. And again, I had to hide my other layers first so that I could see the effect that was happening on my new Alaska layer. So I think I kind of liked it at 80%. So I'm going to leave the fill at 80%.